friends, but really kind of the leading expert about how to borrow money, lend money, and just earn compound interest with your retirement accounts, 401ks, self-directed IRAs. In our real estate space, I think it's a missing link to what people understand, which is that there's a lot of money out there. They just don't know where to find it. So if you actually want to engage and be a part of this live podcast episode, which I will be putting actually onto iTunes as well, and you want to engage with Greg and I, that link right there is just my YouTube channel. I'm not going to be looking at you, but if you jump over here, Greg and I are going to be rocking the house right now. What's up, dude? Welcome to Science of Living Podcast, bro.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Colby.
Man, I'm excited. So let's talk about, the big, there's a lot of news right now about money and the world and stock markets and real estate and interest rates. And you know what the one thing that they all have in common? It has to do with money. Money. And you were my guy. Obviously you're one of my closest friends. And so whenever I'm thinking of doing stuff with monies, I tend to call you, but I want your knowledge. I want everyone to understand who you are, and what you do for a living and the companies you own. But then I want to talk about money and how there's a lot of money out there for real estate investors, and, how they can get it and borrow it, but also potentially lend it if they're thinking the right way. And so why don't I kind of hand this over to you so you can give your introduction? Well, why don't I edify you, because you're a beast. Again, one of my closest friends. So we have plenty of stories that we could talk about personally, but Greg owns in a trust company called Horizon Trust. And so if you do have a self-directed IRA, 401k, any of those retirement plans, I would encourage you to reach out to his team. I personally keep my money at his company for obvious reasons. He's a good friend, but most importantly, he's a real estate investor first. So he first thinks as an investor, but also runs this company. And he can kind of tell you why he even started this company here momentarily. But it's incredible how people don't understand the power of these things. It's not the sexiest topic, but as someone who has raised millions and millions of dollars myself, I know Greg has raised, I think, $1 billion or something crazy like that. Power of compound interest, power of lending, power of money, making you money. That's what this episode's really about. So I'm going to shut up here. You're the man of the hour. And so if you want to jump in and kind of finish out your introduction, dude, please feel free.
Well, first, I'm going to start by saying this is sexy. This is super sexy.
Money is super sexy.
Sexy, and not paying, too much in taxes is sexy too. So, but you're right. Typically, when I start talking about like IRAs or taxes, etc., people might swipe left or right or whatever. And that's the case. Like if you're watching this on social media or online, you want to go somewhere else because you've got too much money, go for it. Totally cool. But those who actually want to talk about sexy things, I feel like that are super sexy because they've literally changed my life. And I've seen so many other, literally thousands of people do the thing we're talking about today. Then stay here and keep listening. But I will, I'm a real estate guy. I started when I was 22 in real estate, and no one would lend me money. Didn't know how to get money, really. And then I learned about this concept now that I actually own a company that does. Is I learned about IRAs and retirement accounts and how an individual can use a retirement account to partner with you or lend to you on your real estate deal. And so when I was 22 years old, I did my first deal, and someone lent me every dollar I needed to flip my first property out of their IRA. And so when I flipped that deal and I partnered with them, and all the money he gave me plus his profits went back to his IRA, he didn't pay taxes on. That's when I at first was like, okay, wait, this is like real. This is like something. And from that perspective, years ago, it was more real. Like, oh, I've now found a true lending source, a place where people have assets they're not too happy about. And let me like cut myself off right now. Like this yesterday, the market, not only yesterday, but like the last 60 days in the, crypto world, and like the market's crazy right now. And so, it's just interesting. So like if 40% of America in the last 5 years has changed jobs, quit jobs, whatever the case is. Like there's just a huge, massive amount of our population in the last 5 years. Obviously, the pandemic has something to do with it. Has changed careers, which means a large portion of America has a old or prior 401k with their previous employer that is out there. They're not even paying attention to. And it's available to actually self-direct, which is what my company does. I'm getting there in a second. What is self-direct, or put it in a vehicle that could actually lend you money. Now, some of things are in that boat. You actually have a old 401k that you could actually move into a self-directed IRA, which is what my company does, and then invest it in different kind of investments, which we'll talk about here in a second. But anyways, background on me is real estate. I've been a real estate guy. IRAs changed my life. They've enabled me to actually fund deals, and now I'm on the other side of things. I actually lend my money to different investments. And so 12 years ago, I started a trust company. So I still dabble in real estate. Every year I do a handful of deals. But majority of what I do now is I educate and help people create retirement accounts where they can invest in what they want. And I think that's the critical thing. It's funny, I'll go around talking to people and they're like, oh, I've got an account. Charles Schwab lets me do that. No, they don't. Or, Fidelity lets me invest in real estate. Yeah. In like the things that are approved by them. But if you called Fidelity right now, like, hey, I want to move my old 401k over into this investment property here that Justin's doing, they will say,
Good luck.
I don't want to, yeah, I'm not going to use bad words.
Language. Good luck.
No, good luck. so what this is something that what we're talking about has been around since the 70s. The rich are getting richer. They're obscene getting richer. Like it's out of control because they're using these techniques to create massive wealth. And so it's really it's time for people to start doing that and catching up. Frankly, there's so many subjects I'm doing here in my long intro here, but inflation alone, right? I mean, if you're not making like 6, 7, 8%, right? They're saying 8.5. I mean, you're going backwards. You've really got to take true action if you want to keep up with inflation or beat it. So no one cares about your money more than you do. It's time to do that. So I don't know if I give you an intro. Besides, obviously, I've got a beautiful other half who's way cooler than me, and 4 beautiful kids. I mean, I can't not do an intro without saying that. But yeah, I am passionate about real estate. Passionate about how to avoid paying taxes in real estate.
Yeah, and so the key here, I mean, you mentioned a lot there, right? Listen, inflation being at, 8%. If your money's not making 8%, then you're literally losing money. You're going backwards. But, what I think a lot of people have to understand is money, in my opinion, in your opinion, and I know that to be true, should be making you money, right? Your money, I'm not cash heavy, and I don't believe you're extensively cash heavy. We just kind of talked about this. Like, not that we're, torching our cash, but I use my cash to make me more money. And there's a lot of tools to do that. And what's even better about this idea of whether it's a self-directed IRA, whether it's a 401k, a SEP, a Roth, all the different, variables you have there. But the reality is, there's a common thread here, which would be compound interest on your money. And whether you consider true interest, right? An interest rate like your lender, because you can absolutely lend people your money out of your IRAs and 401ks, or I specifically think it's IRAs. But I think people need to understand that there's a lot of people sitting out there thinking, my money needs to start making me money because it's losing me money by sitting. And that's the right way to be thinking. It's the way I think. It's the way you think. So let's kind of dive into that, because the world is, especially financially right now, it is chaos, in my opinion. I never watch the news, but I'm very aware of what's happening. I'm very aware of interest rates. I'm very aware of stock market and crypto and everything is happening. But let's kind of dive in on that, in the importance of that.
So that's great. So let me start with like the importance of so first, a self-directed IRA is a vehicle only that allows you to invest in what you want for the most part. There's a few exclusions, but you can have a Roth, a simple SEP, a traditional 401k, self-directed, which is what my company does. Is we're licensed to hold those kind of accounts. and create them and help people move over funds from their other retirement accounts into our company so they can invest in what they want. I want to just establish that. But now that that's established, and let's say you want to do that or want to find someone who's done that, let's just talk about the importance that Justin has talked about, making money on money. And so, Justin, I don't know if you can multitask on this. If not, I've already done the math for you. But if you want to follow along with me, so if you're listening to this, and I'll go slow, but if you go to htccalculator.com,
HTC calculator.
.com. Let's just do it. I mean, let's real time. Everyone's got time here. htccalculator.com. It's just I didn't create this besides the link. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Why didn't it? Well, it took me to Google for some dumb reason. htccalculator.com.
Should go to Ramsey's. It's just Ramsey's little landing page. You see it?
Yep, got it. All right, here. I can even share my screen. Let's get real technologically fancy for the people. Let's share this screen.
Okay. So let's play with a few numbers here for a second. But let's say I'll let you pull it up here. We'll put in these numbers, because numbers are, I think, the most sexy and exciting thing. Let's talk real stuff about money.
Unfortunately, because I bought a brand new computer, is saying I haven't set up the system to do all that. So there's that.
Sound like you're rich. Another computer to you. You got no, I'm joking. All right. So why don't you plug in this number for me? Let's just say age 35.
35.
Now, if you're on, you can do the same thing for you. And let's say you're going to retire at 67. Obviously, you can change all these around, but let's just go with this: 35 to 67.
Yeah.
And plug in there that you're going to start with $250,000.
250 grand salary.
And
you have an investments. Got it. How much will you contribute monthly?
$3,000 a month.
50?
$3,000 a month.
3,000.
At an 8% interest rate.
8% interest. I'm going to calculate that, Greg. That is $8,528,470.
So this is compounding and actually putting away. If you think about this real quick, most of you who are entrepreneurs or maybe even just trying to prepare for retirement, it at first looks like a lot, and you can mess around with this calendar, this calculator, but saving $36,000. If you could save $36,000, most of you listening to this are entrepreneurs building businesses who need to pay themselves first. But you do this at 8%. Now, Justin, if I invest, do you think you can earn 8% on your investments right now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I think you can. So let just for fun on that same sheet, why don't you put in, what do you think that you're a little better? Do you think you can earn 10% on that money?
I think I could probably hit 10%.
Look what 2% does.
Whoa. It goes to $14,400,000.
It's a $6 million difference just by getting an extra 2% compounding interest on your money. Now, get crazy. I know, Justin, I'm pretty sure you think you can even make 12% on your money.
Let's get wild with it. 24. It just doubled. $24,000. 24 million. I'm sorry, 24 million.
You go from $8 million to $24 million by compounding your gains just by making 12%, which is totally doable. Everyone's out there trying to make 20%. The reason why people have to make 20% in their investments is because typically they have to pay taxes on their gains. And so you can't. But if you're doing your investments inside of an IRA, a self-directed IRA, and then you get to compound at 8, 10, or 12%, you say the number, 8, 10, or 12, you're compounding every single year the money that you're putting away and not having to pay taxes on it. This is the result. And the numbers are powerful, which is, I think, what people need to get their arms around. So, I mean, like, I think the important thing is also it's not too late. Like, I've played with this calculator enough that you can go back and be like, okay, well, I don't have $250,000. Play with the number. Put in $50,000.
100%. Here, I'm going to put in. So let's say you're 35. You're going to retire at age 67, but you have 50,000 saved up, and maybe it's in the Fidelity account.
2,000 a month, and not 3.
2,000 a month. At 12%, will let you get $11 million by the time you're 67.
Look, $11 million. So is this doable and feasible for anybody? Yes. But first, you got to do it. You know how you have to know the tools and have the tools to make money on your money, but in a tax sheltered way. The reason why this conversation is sexy for those that stuck it out here with us is because I showed you how to go from 8 million to 24 million and without paying taxes on your gains if you do it with inside a self-directed IRA. Now, let me give you this same example. If you were to make 12% and compound it, but have to pay taxes on it, you're going to lose at least a third. So that 12 actually will end up being just like your 8 example. So instead of making 24 million, your account, because you're paying taxes on it, would only be 8 million. That's a $16 million difference maker by you doing it inside of an IRA. And that's
It's
why that's why you got to
e-
start doing it.
even for, let's just say, the person at the 50 grand, and then they're doing 2,000 a month. You go from 8 to 12. So 12% interest got you 11 million. 8 get you 4.
I mean, it is staggering until you start doing the numbers. Now, the other thing that people will call me out on this is like, oh man, well, 2,000 a month. Look, those of you that are listening to this, those of you that are entrepreneurs or trying to build a business, I'm telling you right now, you will not be mad at me or give me any hate mail 5 years from now if you start paying yourself first. One of the biggest problems people do is they defer their retirement accounts. They wait till they're too old. They start saving too
Mm-hmm.
late. And then the other thing is they're like, oh, well, I'm going to put in with my account whatever I have left after I pay all my bills. Guess what? Your bills are going to meet your revenue. So I've taught my kids this. I do it myself. I pay myself first. Put $2,000 into your retirement account every single month and start compounding it and earning money and not paying tax on it. That should become an expense from day one. This is the difference in you having like retiring at an age and comfortable or not. I mean, if you retire when you're in your 60s and you got $10 million, you can live off the interest, even if you're only making probably 5 or 6%. That's $600,000 a year. Now, if you're making 10%, that's over $1 million a year in passive interest income. This stuff, it's the numbers that I've been telling this story for too many years, but I wasn't sharing the numbers. And so when I started putting the numbers in here for myself and for others, I'm like, this is what you need to be seeing and looking at. So you have the numbers don't lie. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah, and so this is why I kind of pose this subject matter of being able to borrow and raise money and lend. The reason that's important for people like Greg and myself and you guys watching this, you know that I teach and educate real estate. You know I'm heavily into real estate. There are a lot of people out there that say, I can't fix and flip because I don't know where I'm broke. I don't have any of my own money. I have, $1,000 in my bank account. Or they might say, I can't go buy rentals because I don't have any money to buy it. Greg, how many people, you probably have some number, right? Like how many people out there have some level of a 401k, retirement plan, IRA? What are the numbers in the US? Do you know?
Well, it's over 80 million
80 million.
IRA in the United States. Over 80 million. I think it's probably closer to 90 million now. That was an 18-month-old data. So almost a third of the population have an IRA. And
Have an
so
IRA, and that is what you were saying. They may need to convert it to a self-directed, right? They may need to do something, but they have the right tool to lend you, the person that doesn't have any money and they can't flip and they can't buy rentals. They have the tool to lend you money. 80 million people.
over 80 million people. And so that's why it's like, I learned that at age 22 that people could use their IRAs to do this. And so then I was like, oh man, I've now found an opportunity, people to partner with me and lend me their, a portion of their IRA. This was, 20 years ago. And that's how I got first started. And so there's no reason for you, if you're trying to look for investment dollars to do different real estate deals, there's no reason for you to say I can't find money. It's all around you. A third of the people around you have a retirement account, and I can tell you right now, if you're talking to them, they're not too happy with it. It's not like they're crushing it there. In fact, now they're just like, oh, you know what the financial advisor is saying. And look, I've got one, and so I don't hate on all of them. There's some good ones out there, but what do they all say? You just got to be patient. You just got to wait it out. And I don't want to swear. Of course. I mean, that's always the answer, of course. But now that you've lost 20, 30, 40%, it's every year you're going to be like, okay, cool. I made 10, 20, 30%. 3 years from now, you're going to be broken even again. Like it's time to stop doing what the old school people do. You got to do what the wealthy are doing to become wealthy.
Yeah, I say this all the time. And anyways, I say it all the time. I was told by a mentor of mine, Justin, you think like a rich person, but you don't think like a wealthy person. And this is the type of stuff I'm talking about, right? This is where, I'll lean on Greg and I'll be like, hey, Greg, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. Like, what are your thoughts here? How can I make sure my money's making me money? And he might tell me, Justin, start lending. You're going to get a, 15% interest rate, on your money by lending. Or Justin, you might want to do this. Like, you need to also surround yourself with the people that are actually knowledgeable about what to do. So, I think that the key here will be is it doesn't matter what you have. I would encourage, we have a question here, which this is kind of a cool little tech thing. How do you get your money out of Fidelity 401k without getting killed in taxes, Greg?
So good question. I think it looks like Robert. So if you have a current 401k with your current employer, that account, those are the only kind of accounts for the most part. There's a couple, government accounts, etc. But if you have a 401k where you're currently contributing, you cannot roll that account over to a self-directed IRA without getting killed on taxes, to your point. But if you are one of those people that have a old 401k with your previous employer at Fidelity, you can transfer those funds or roll over those funds from Fidelity over to our company, Horizon Trust Company, tax-free. You pay nothing in taxes on that transfer. It arrives and is held then in an account with us where it now is self-directed, and you can choose where you want to invest it, and you don't pay taxes on it. And so that's a really important thing. Is some people get excited about it like I do, and it's like, oh, well, I got this 401k. If you still are working there, you cannot move it over. But you do not pay taxes on your retirement account when you transfer it or roll it over from wherever it's at to our company at Horizon Trust.
And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, which you should be, by the way, go over to YouTube and start watching. You can ask questions right here. You can see, I can show it on the screen. Ask the questions you have. This guy has been doing this for well over a decade and owns the company that does this, right? And this is where I keep my money. He speaks at my events. He tries to teach people in a much longer format how to do that. By the way, here's your official invitation. Are you able to speak June 24th and 25th in Scottsdale?
I'm in Europe.
But that's okay. But he was at my last event and he'll likely be at the one in September. My point to all that is, now's your time. If you're live right here on YouTube, make sure you're asking the questions you need to know. I think it's imperative because my big mission right now is to get real estate investors out of this being a one-trick pony of wholesaling. But even then, you can leverage retirement accounts like self-directed IRAs in a way to lend money as a lender and make a return. And I'm going to make it very black and white, and Greg can refine it for you at a later date. But it's very easy. If Greg says, hey, Justin, I'm a wholesaler and I need $1,000 for earnest money deposit. And I say, great, I will lend you, Greg, $1,000 for an earnest money deposit. I want 100% return when the deal is done. How much do you stand on making this, Greg? Greg says, I'm going to make $20,000 on a wholesale fee. Sweet. Here's your $1,000. I want 100% return when the deal closes. And through escrow, as the lender, I will get $2,000 back. My initial $1,000 and another $1,000. We're talking about a 12% return. Is mind-blowing.
That's right.
When you can start doing that stuff and you're making 100% return, and by the way, I'm talking about $1,000 earnest money deposit. We talked big numbers. Let's just talk a little bit more. Let's say you are you're going to make an initial deposit of $10,000, and all the other numbers stay the same. If you start with $10,000 in a self-directed IRA and start lending it at 12%, mind you, and you're 35 years old, by the time you're 67, it's almost $5 million, $4.9 million. Now, let's just say you go to every single wholesaler out there and say, hey, I'll fund you $1,000 earnest money on every single one of your offers. and you start making 100% returns, that number is going to get silly. So I'm not even going to prove it, like say the number on there. But that's literally how simple it can be. So when I talk about being a lender, you don't need Greg or me to call, hey Justin, do you have 150 grand for this flip? You can literally like, hey, I'll give you your earnest money deposit, right?
That's right.
I just think you got to start thinking more than just being a one-trick pony. I don't think anything. I know for certain if you are just a wholesaler that all you do is wholesale, you're not thinking about how to build wealth out of the gate. This is why Greg spoke at my last event. You're just not thinking big enough. You're thinking potentially like a rich person, but really you might be thinking like a broke person. That's the reality, right?
Yep.
And that's not good.
Yeah. No, it's look, I mean, the point, and hopefully is to just create a little bit of attention on something that most people are forgetting about, the power of compounding interest. Oh, cool, Robert, you're not employed with them. We can help you move that over. No, you don't pay any taxes on the transfer. So I just saw your question.
Go to where do you want to go? HorizonTrust.com.
Just give my email, Greg at Horizon Trust. That's easier. And then my team will help you if you want to set up an account or get it transferred over. We can explain it all to you. But it's a super simple process. The important part is just starting it. If you haven't started an account, start an account. If you don't understand the power of compound interest, play around with that calculator, and then come up with a plan that works for you. Like, hey, I can only save $1,000 a month. Cool. And maybe with that, you only do 2 or 3 wholesales, invest in 2 or 3 wholesale deals, as Justin just said. It's powerful. Those numbers are life changing, literally.
Yep. David, what's up, brother? Greg, what is the best way to connect with people who already have self-directed IRAs so you can talk to them about lending on deals? Is there a way to pull a list?
The gold list. I would say in general, the best success, because we don't solicit our clients to in different investments. That's a liability to us. So to pull the list, you're better off going to any kind of events, any real estate events. Anytime you're in a room, at least 20%, if not 40% of the room has retirement accounts. So when I first started my business in real estate, I actually was a IRA specialist and I didn't even know it. I'd go out to these real estate different events and I would just talk about self-directed IRAs because I was looking for them to lend me or partner with me on my deals.
Yeah.
So, building relationships, going to different events, they have IRAs or old 401ks. That's where you go. It's if I were to send you my list, I mean, that obviously would be awesome. But we don't know. We don't give out our list. It's obviously confidential. So.
You can get in a little bit of trouble there, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we do.
I think, for me to answer that as well, I believe in the first pillar of success, specifically even in this real estate space. First of all, it's a people business. So the most powerful asset you have is your network. If you're not going to every event possible, like I'm holding an event June 24th, 25th in Scottsdale, Arizona, specific to teach real estate investors how to build this business and not be a one-trick pony. If you're not there to network with the other 100 people in the room that are active real estate investors, you need to be. Even more localized, you can go to these meetup groups, you can go to RIA meetings. But I just went to a massive event out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and the amount of people that came up to me or I was introduced to or whatever the case was, I didn't know half of them, but there were so many people that there's potential business that can be done there, right? You need to be networking at all times. And just the knowledge we're giving you tonight, what Greg is saying and me telling you, see if someone could lend you $1,000 for earnest money deposit. Like those conversations are really powerful. Like there's a lot of people out there that would be willing to do that for you. And if you have a self-directed, you should be willing to do that for other people. You should be going to the players in your market saying, hey, I have an opportunity for you. I'll lend you $1,000. I just want to double my money when the deal gets done.
Mm-hmm.
But your network is everything. It is quite literally everything. And if you feel like you don't have friends or family, your network doesn't have money, that's your own simple thinking. You're just incorrect there. You just haven't asked is usually what is happening, right? You haven't said, I have a real estate opportunity. Does anyone else have a, retirement account that they'd like to use to make some good money?
Yep.
That's what's happening.
It's a game changer.
For sure. What else, dude? Email Greg. I'll put this up again. If you just want to, if you guys are interested in transferring your money over, understanding the difference between different accounts. I believe I have a SEP, right? Don't I have a SEP?
I don't remember. Probably. I think so.
Okay.
You have a SEP. You do have a SEP. So it's any kind. If you have an account, self-directed doesn't. It's not a different kind of account. It's just the license, the company we have to hold all of the accounts. So we hold simple SEPs, traditional, Roth, 401ks. We hold all of them.
Yeah,
We just can't move over a current 401k with your current employer.
that's right. Well, email him, Greg at Horizon Trust. He's my guy. He's where I put my money. He's someone that is very trusted by myself and many others, by the way. A lot of the same people that you know put their money with him. And I'll tell you, you're when you put your money there, you're behind a company that believes in real estate investing. And that's what's really important. Like I said, like compounding interest, like the example I just gave you just kind of blows my mind. I'm sitting here like, why have I not just started doing that to all my students? Anyways, I'm the point being, guys, you need to understand this type of stuff. We have a couple more. David says, thank you. Last question. Do you also do self-directed 401ks that employees can contribute to?
We do self-directed 401ks, but typically they're for individuals. We're not the best for if you have many employees. We typically help people if you have a business, an LLC and a business, so like an individual solo owner of a LLC, we can help you create and open up a 401k for your business. But we're not great at many employees. If you got lots of employees, there's other companies that typically are better at managing contributions and stuff like that into a 401k. But like I have a 401k that I set up years ago for my LLC, and then I contributed to. And so if you're an entrepreneur, have your own LLC, we can help you set that up. Yes.
Love it. All right, my guy. Appreciate you coming on to this podcast, The Science of Flipping a Course. For those on IG watching live, make sure you get on YouTube because I'm going to start doing a lot more of these where you can engage, ask questions, bring on super special guests. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate all you guys. Peace.
Peace. Thanks, Justin.